Does Monday at the office feel like a storm? Not with Microsoft Copilot. That feeling when Copilot gets everyone up to speed instantly? It's sunny again. When Copilot simplifies complex data so your teams can act, that sun's shining on a beach. And when Copilot uncovers hidden insights, you're on that beach with your people, and you find buried treasure. That's Microsoft Copilot. Learn more at Microsoft.com/AI for all.
This episode is brought to you by Paramount Plus. An unlikely friendship begins in the Paramount Plus original movie Little Wing, starring Brooklyn Prince with Kelly Riley and Brian Cox. Reeling from her parents' divorce, Caitlin steals a valuable bird to save her home, but instead forms a bond with the owner, leading to a new outlook on life. Little Wing, now streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus. Head to ParamountPlus.com to try it free. Rated PG-13.
When you hear this, what do you feel? At IMAX, you'll feel transported by our unique sound system and crystal clear images. Like you're running across a desert planet or defending your city from a surprise invasion. With immersive IMAX sound and screens curved to show more, we take fans to the edge of their seats. Get tickets to Dune Part 2 now and experience it in IMAX's exclusive expanded aspect ratio.
Enter a movie about some good old boys, never meaning no harm, until they thought it was a good idea to take a beloved television show, run a script through a moonshine still, and watch as this movie goes south faster than the General Lee. Is 2005's The Dukes of Hazzard stuck in neutral? Let's find out as we race to see if this film is a hazard to moviegoers, or if it's actually not that bad. Welcome one and all to It's Not That Bad, the podcast that looks for A grades in B movies and a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Now, every now and then we have to take a look at a movie that, you know what, it might need a little love, might need a little attention, might need a bit of a boost up. And this is one of those films because we are talking about The Dukes of Hazzard. And here to join us for that show, Gomez from the Sleevy G podcast is back. Gomez, how you doing, man?
Yeehaw! Let's go, brother.
Oh, you are revved. You are raring to go.
Oh, I'm way too hazardous for you.
Now, the last time, or one of the last times you were on here, we were talking about Roadhouse 2 because we also talked about Roadhouse 1. Now we're back down south for the Dukes of Hazzard. What is it about this film that made you want to jump on this?
You know what? I thought it was done pretty damn good for a movie. Minus Sean William Scott. You know, that's the one part I didn't think could have used a better actor on that one. I thought Johnny Knoxville did really good on this. You know, you got Burt Reynolds as Boss Hogg. I could have let what's his name? Matt Enos. Roscoe
P. Coltrane.
I wish it was a different actor than that douche. Or dork, whatever you want to call him. I just did not. He didn't portray to be that stupid cop like in the old show. You know what I mean? Like the true Roscoe P. Coltrane that you remember of.
I was going to say, how long has it been since you've actually seen the original TV show? Because I'm not going to lie, it's been a while for me.
Not me.
No?
No, I own it.
Okay, so you are very familiar with what it was versus what it became.
Oh, yeah. And I remember when the General Lee was a black car, how it first started.
Oh, okay. We got a lot to talk about then. We have a lot to dissect. But before we head down to Hazzard County, it is time to take this TV remake and trailerize it.
In Hazzard County, Georgia, one cast of characters assemble, creating a combined IQ that still has less horsepower than a Dodge Charger. Johnny Knoxville and Sean William Scott are Bo and Luke Duke, two moonshine runners with a penchant for driving fast and thinking slow. They find themselves trying to stop Boss Hogg from turning the town and Uncle Jess's farm into a coal mining pit. Not a good idea for Boss Hogg, that is. I mean, seriously, does he not know that you can drive a car on moonshine? Does he not watch Mythbusters? Boss Hog could have just partnered with Jesse, made a bunch of moonshine, sponsored the Dukes in a car running on clean natural fuel, and made a ton of green on green energy. I mean, does no one think of the environment? Good old boys, my ass. Ask the ozone layer if those boys are good. Buckle in and put your brain in park for the Dukes of Hazzard. Rated PG-13 for pedal to the ground.
That was awesome. That was so awesome.
I will admit, I did a bit of a deep dive. I hopped on YouTube. I found an old episode of Mythbusters.
I know.
And behold,
I remember that one.
You can drive a car on moonshine.
Moonshine. Yep. Not peach, though. It has to be clear moonshine.
Well, exactly, right? Then it's basically clear ethanol. So why not?
Why the not?
Right?
So what I said.
Moonshiners had it right. You could have had a nice green, probably slightly smelly kind of environment, but clean.
And good for your health.
Exactly. Better in the car than in the gut.
It's great for consumption, as Johnny Knoxville says. Might put a little lead in your pencil.
That is not a number 2 pencil at that point.
No, definitely not. It's a number 5.
That is a number 98 proof pencil at that point.
Hey, Pantheon listeners, Christian Swain here. You caught me just finishing up some editing on Getting Real with John and Beth. I want to share my first experience with Factor Meals for you. I think you'll find this interesting because I bet the same thing happens to you. I had just received my first shipment from Factor Meals the other day, and I was excited to try one of the prepared restaurant quality meals for myself. Anyway, I was working away and noticed it was very late, and it was my night to make dinner. I jumped up and headed to the kitchen, went to grab the ingredients for the dish I was going to make, and realized I was missing a prime ingredient. Well, I could make a run to the store, or I could make one of my new Factor meals. Actually, the choice was easy. I grabbed a cavatappi, an Italian-style pork ragu with garlic broccoli, heated the oven per instructions, and minutes later was enjoying a very delicious, nutritious, and dietitian-approved meal. It really was everything Factor Meals said it would be. No prep, no mess meals. Factor Meals are 100% ready to heat and eat. Take it from me and head to factormeals.com/Pantheon50 and use the code Pantheon50 to get 50% off. That's factormeals.com/Pantheon50 and use the code Pantheon50 to get 50% off. Hey, Pantheon listeners, Christian Swain again with something every podcast listener and music junkie needs to hear. As I'm sure you can guess, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I also listen to a lot of music, so having high-quality headphones and earbuds are absolutely critical to my day. Oh, and I have numerous pairs. In fact, I have a junk drawer of used devices that have bitten the dust, so I've tried them all. Recently, I was sent a pair of earbuds by Raycon, and the first thing I noticed was the cost. Looks like their products are about half the price of other premium brands. Okay, that's cool. And the reviews seem pretty stellar. Okay, checks that box. So I got my Raycon everyday earbuds. A nice packaging to open, and what I immediately noticed were the pack of ear tips for sizing. I'll tell you, I have small ear canals. I know, a flaw. So to see choices for the best fit, especially while exercising, oh yeah. And yes, they were immediately comfortable. Sound quality was great too. Plus, I have 3 EQ options that I love because I like more bass in my music and less in the podcasts. 8 hours of playtime for the battery is great as well. Surround sound, noise canceling, and awareness mode all included. I think I'm in business, and I just realized I've had them in all day. Like I said, super comfortable. Go to buyraycon.com/Pantheon today to get 20% off your Raycon order plus free shipping. That's right. You'll get 20% off and free shipping at buyraycon.com/Pantheon.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
But let's get into who is in this film. The movie stars Johnny Knoxville, Sean William Scott, Jessica Simpson in her cinematic debut, Burt Reynolds, Willie Nelson, David Koechner, MC Gainey, Linda Carter, Kevin Heffernan, James Rhodey Rodriguez, and Michael Weston. And I apologize if I messed up any of these names. You know me. I'm the idiot in a basement with a microphone. However, there is quite the almost starring in this one. Now, I want to see, Gomez, if you see a trend here. There were cameos offered to the original Dukes, Tom Wopat, John Schneider, and Catherine Bach. But then they read the script and they said nope. As Roscoe P. Coltrane, Danny McBride was actually interested in the role, but then he read the script and said nope.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson were offered the roles of Bo and Luke Duke because this, of course, is after Starsky and Hutch, which did pretty well. It was okay. It was better than this. It was. Then they saw the script and they said nope. So you're starting to see a trend here. Maybe give them the roles before you show them the script.
Yeah, probably that would have been a good idea. But not for nothing, Johnny Knoxville really nailed that one out of the park, though. Granted, we all know Johnny Knoxville for his jackass roles, you know what I mean, and Sean William Scott just because he likes American Pie so much, you know. And we know him as Stifler, Dancing in the Gay Club, you know, too. She's a maniac and everything. But you know, I didn't like him for that part at all. That's the only bad part of the whole movie, I think.
Well, the funny thing is, I like Sean William Scott in The Rundown. I thought he was great for that one.
He was good. He was good for that one. Yeah, with The Rock. Yes, I fully agree.
But let's take a look at who some of the people were that were offered the roles of the Duke Boys, including Paul Walker and Ashton Kutcher. So a little bit of Fast and Furious and a little bit of that 70s show.
Not for nothing. That would have been that if you got Paul Walker and Ashton Kutcher, first of all, I don't think those two would mix very well in a car. Okay, first of all, you got Fast and Furious meets Dude, Where's My Car?
And it ends up being in Hazzard County. You're trying to picture it now, aren't you?
No, and I can't. It does not work. So, you know what? I'm glad those two just declined that.
All right, so let's get to some of these smaller roles here. Billy Prickett. That role was apparently originally offered to Matthew McConaughey. And you know what? I actually don't mind that one.
I don't mind that, but I don't think, listen, Matthew McConaughey, great serious actor. I mean, there's a couple movies he did that was actually pretty funny. It was good. He did Fool's Gold with, what the hell is her? Goldie Hawn's daughter. Help me out here.
Oh, Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson, yes. Better looking mother. I mean, better looking than her mother. He actually did that as not as a romantic comedy, and he did pretty good. But I can't see Matthew McConaughey as a comedy actor all the time.
Well, I mean, I remember watching him in Sahara. Now, I have my issues with Sahara, but I think he actually did that one fairly well.
He did, but can you actually hit him here? It's the bifida, spinal bifida.
Oh, no, the script wouldn't have done him any favors.
No, it would not. So he would have been much dumber than he looks.
In the role of Pauline, as played by Linda Carter, and yes, Wonder Woman Linda Carter, apparently Dolly Parton turned down the role. Let's talk about Daisy Duke. Apparently, Jessica Simpson beat out Britney Spears, Mandy Moore, and Jessica Biel.
Okay, first of all, Mandy Moore, good girl, wholesome, not sexy. Can't do it. Britney Spears, she is a Southern girl. She can pull it off. She's a little bit crazy and a little bit nutso. She could have pulled that one off pretty good. Jessica Biel, listen, good-looking girl. She's too known for Seventh Heaven and try to go to the wild side. No, it didn't work very well. Jessica Simpson, blonde. Yeah, it works. And she looks good in Daisy Dukes. Instead of Britney Spears, but Jessica Biel and Mandy Moore, no. Mandy Moore's kind of squared, flat.
I wouldn't say that, but I mean, Mandy Moore definitely doesn't have the for lack of a better term, sex symbol look.
No, definitely not.
No.
And she wasn't a sex symbol in Entourage either.
But that's okay. The movie was directed by Jay Chandrasekhar, and I apologize if I messed up that name. Remember, this is me we're talking about here, who also directed Super Troopers, Club Dread, and Beer Fest. However, there was an almost directed. Eli Roth turned down this movie because Tarantino had apparently asked him to do Hostel, and he went and did that one. This would have been a way freaking different movie if Eli Roth had directed this.
Yes, it would have been. Listen, when you get a call to do a Quentin Tarantino movie, yeah, do it.
Right?
Listen, if Quentin Tarantino told me to swallow the watch in Pulp Fiction and shit out of my ass, you damn right I'm going to do that part too. You know, again, Ving Rhames at the end of the movie, if it gets me money and popularity and I got to do that,
bring out the gimp.
Bring out the gimp. Yeah, exactly. And Zed is dead, baby.
Now, as much as we've kind of poo-pooed on this film a little bit already, we have to bring it down before we build it back up. It did get some good accolades and some other accolades as well, but let's get to the good ones first. At the 2006 MTV Movie and TV Awards, Johnny Knoxville, Sean William Scott, and Jessica Simpson were nominated for Best On-Screen Team. They lost to Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson for Wedding Crashers, which can't really argue that one.
No, you can't, because Wedding Crashers was freaking hilarious. That you know, I'm Casey O'Toole. You know, come on. How can you? You can't really get upset about losing to them.
No. Jessica Simpson was also nominated for Sexiest Performance. She lost to Jessica Alba for Sin City.
Listen, she could ride that out of that cow machine, that bull machine, pretty damn good.
At the 2006 People's Choice Awards, Jessica Simpson won for Favorite Song for a Movie for her cover of These Boots Are Made for Walkin'. Also, at the 2016 Choice Awards, she won for Choice Breakout Female. And at the Golden Schmoes Awards, Jessica Simpson was nominated for Best TNA of the Year. She lost to Jessica Alba for Sin City.
Again, can I just point out the scene? Mm-hmm. That's all. You just gotta see Jessica Alba doing that.
Just look at the trailer. That's all you gotta do.
Just look at the trailer with her on the mechanical bull.
There you go.
That's the reason she won.
Now we get to the downside of things.
Sean William Scott.
At the 2000, we're getting to him. Don't you worry. At the 2005 Stinkers Bad Movie Awards, the movie was given a dishonorable mention in the Worst Picture category. Jay Chandrasekhar, and again, I apologize. Just from now on, he's Director J. We're just gonna, I'm gonna stop butchering his name. We're just gonna go with Director J.
Or you call him Ramafor? What the hell was his name from Super Troopers?
You know what's funny? I never actually watched Super Troopers. I know. I have committed shame. I know.
If you hear that, people, I just smacked him virtually in the head for that one.
He was nominated for Worst Director, lost to Uwe Boll for Alone in the Dark. And I'm sorry, but if Uwe Boll is in the mix, he's winning Worst Director. Johnny Knoxville was nominated for Worst Actor for this, Daltrey Calhoun, and The Ringer, lost to Jamie Kennedy for Son of the Mask. And we've covered that movie, and yeah.
That was pretty bad.
Jessica Simpson won for Worst Supporting Actress. These Boots Are Made for Walking won for Worst Song or Song Performance in a Film or its end credits. Funny enough, she beat out her own sister for two songs, Smart in a Stupid Way and Undiscovered, from the movie Undiscovered by Ashley Simpson. And we've covered Undiscovered. Actually, not a bad film. And I actually like the song Undiscovered. So I'll stand up for Ashley Simpson on that one.
Okay. I do like the Jessica Simpson song, though.
I mean, it's not bad.
No, she did a really good one.
Yeah. I think she picked the song that was perfect for her in that moment. John William Scott and Johnny Knoxville were nominated for Less Than Dynamic Duo. They lost to Samuel L. Jackson and Eugene Levy for The Man. Jessica Simpson won for Most Annoying Fake Accent Female, and the movie was nominated for Worst Resurrection of a Classic TV Show, lost to The Honeymooners.
Ooh.
But then we get to the 26th Golden Raspberry Awards.
Oh, no.
The film was nominated for Worst Picture, lost to Dirty Love. Burt Reynolds was nominated for Worst Supporting Actor for this and The Longest Yard, lost to Hayden Christensen for Star Wars Episode 3. Jessica Simpson was nominated for Worst Supporting Actress, lost to Paris Hilton for House of Wax. Jessica Simpson and her Daisy Dukes were nominated for Worst On-Screen Couple. They lost to Will Ferrell and Nicole Kidman in Bewitched. The movie was nominated for Worst Remake or Sequel, lost to Son of the Mask. Director Jay was nominated for Worst Director, lost to John Asher for Dirty Love. And the movie was nominated for Worst Screenplay, also lost to Dirty Love. So if you're keeping track, If you're keeping track, this film nominated a bunch of times, 7 to be precise, didn't win any of them. It's in the mix, but didn't win. In the mix. But also a special award that year. Ashley Simpson, Jessica Simpson, and Nick Lachey were nominated for Most Tiresome Tabloid Targets. They lost to Tom Cruise, Katie Holmes, Oprah Winfrey's Couch, the Eiffel Tower, and Tom's Baby, quote unquote. So, yeah.
Wait a minute. She didn't win for the Chicken Under the Sea? I do it. Is it tuna? But it's chicken.
It says it's chicken under of the sea, but it's not chicken.
It's tuna.
For the record, my lovely wife, Carrie, has those copies of the Newlywed series. So, yeah, we were there. We went there. However, it didn't really affect it too much at the box office. This film had a budget of $50 million. Domestically, it made $80 million, and worldwide, $111 million.
At least they made money.
Exactly. When it was released on the August 5th, 2005 weekend, it was debuted in first, $30 million, almost double that of the number 2 film, Wedding Crashers, at $16.5 million. But the reason why we are here, of course, is the critics. Over at Metacritic, this film has a Metascore of 33, and over at Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score is 46.
That's not too bad. You know what I mean?
But the tomatometer.
Oh, God.
14%.
The tomatometer can be wrong. They're not the smartest people in that shed over there either.
No, they are not. However, I want to put this into perspective because there is a comparable here. Because in 2007, Dukes of Hazzard: The Beginning was released. It's a basically straight to DVD sequel, prequel.
Yeah.
The only person returning from the original film was Willie Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
Over at Rotten Tomatoes, it has an equal audience score of 46, but a higher tomatometer of 20%.
Only 6%.
I know, but still, it's better.
And to be honest with you, it was worse.
Oh, you realize what you've just done now. You've thrown down the gauntlet. You know what's going to happen. It's just going to be Roadhouse 2 all over again, dude.
Hey. It will be funny, but
Well, let's get to the breakdown of this film. Of course, we have to start with Johnny Knoxville, who was Luke Duke. How was he for you?
I thought he was good in this movie. I thought he portrayed him well. You know, he was himself. He was being funny, which Luke Duke was not funny. He was always the serious one. You know what I mean? But he played the part well. He was slick with the ladies like Tom Wopat was. You know what I mean? It was good. I thought he portrayed well. You know, except he was wearing sunglasses, dark hair, decent looking guy. You know, not in that way. You know, I'm just saying that's because being nice. It's Johnny Knoxville. I thought he's hilarious, and you know, he did most of his own stunts too. You know, so you got to give the guy some credit on some of the stuff too. You know,
I mean, I think you have to put into consideration first the script that they're working with, and let's just get this out on Front Street right now. This script does really no one any justice. It really doesn't.
No, it doesn't. But I mean, the funny thing is it's the icon of TV movie, you know, TV shows that went to movies. You know, like I'm still waiting for Knight Rider to be a freaking movie, even though they tried that one time with a Mustang 3000, Mustang Shelby Cobra, which was a right to, you know, to bring Knight Rider back, which I thought was kind of a different idea and kind of cool because I thought Val Kilmer did a good job as Kit. But, again, it's the iconic of the show, the movie. They try to keep it almost to the T, almost, bringing back the '69 Dodger, Dixie, which was the Jeep Wrangler. They had an updated version, except they didn't have the picture of the eagle on the hood. Uncle Jesse's truck is a Dodge now. It's a little bit higher end. They still have the white Cadillac for Boss Hogg. The police cars were a little bit updated. But the skits, the ideas were still there for from the TV show. Boar's Nest is there, which is kind of funny. In the show, it was like an empty parking lot and a shed with gas pumps, and in the movie, it's different. You see streets and everything. You know what I mean? So they must have been an upgrade in Hazzard County.
I mean, I guess the biggest question becomes, if a movie, or at least a classic TV show, is being redone into a movie, how faithful do you want that to be? Like, do you want it to be the characters from then basically recreated in a similar feel vibe now? Or are you fine with them taking a classic property and running it through the and seeing what comes?
See, well, that was the problem with this movie. They ran it through the and it stayed in the unfortunately. But I thought there were some good parts in the movie, which we'll get to. I think the movie does justice because, again, the Confederate flag is on there. And of course, the times of now 2024 is a little different. That's not looked upon, you know what I mean? Which I get. I understand that. Times have changed. The classic iconic color, the 01 on the car. It's all about the car, technically. A little bit, you know what I mean? It is about the General Lee. And generally speaking, it is.
Well, I mean, there was a stretch of things where it was all about the vehicle and not necessarily about the people. Of course, Knight Rider, you mentioned, being one of the bigger ones. But I mean, you also had Blue Thunder and Airwolf and a lot.
Blue Thunder was actually a good TV show, and that ended up being a good movie because you had Rob Schneider and what the hell is his name?
For the record, though, as much as I like Blue Thunder, and I remember seeing it at the drive-in when it was released, going back and watching it now, I'm watching, there's this scene where like there's this open air demonstration of the helicopter and people people are sitting on the bleachers and whatnot, and I'm watching this and I look, I'm like, that's a boom mic sticking out of the top of the screen.
Yes,
someone didn't notice the boom mic sticking out of the top of the screen.
Someone messed up by accident. That's what it came down to.
Someone didn't know their camera line. Oh,
whoopsie.
Man. But it is like there was that stretch where you had properties, whether they be movies or TV shows, based around vehicles. And
A-Team. The van wasn't even in the movie for like 2 scenes.
Yeah.
And then they wrecked the damn thing. So that was the whole point of the movie too, is the van.
Yes.
And they only showed it in the beginning of the movie, and that was it.
I mean, you knew kids who watched the Dukes of Hazzard, because their parents were watching it, they had their cars, even whether they had the General Lee Matchbox or Hot Wheel car or whatever brand had it, right?
Yep.
They were driving it around on the rug. Maybe it was just me, I don't know, but I know it was I definitely did, right? We all did. Right. Same thing with the A-Team. The show's on. You got your little black van and you're driving it around, kind of like this is what it's supposed to be, and yes, it was a problem of the week to solve for the Duke boys on the show. I get it. And I think that the problem that they had to solve, the whole trying to stop Boss Hogg from turning Uncle Jesse's property into a coal mining pit, I don't mind the plot of it, but when you have a script that leans way too much on crass, not gross out humor, but definitely lowbrow humor, and you throw the guy from Jackass in, and you throw frickin' Stifler in, what do you expect you're gonna get?
Scrambled eggs.
Right?
That's what it was.
I would argue if you have Eli Roth directing this, right? Mm-hmm. Because he is a very good director. Whether you like horror films or not, he's a very good director. I think Paul Walker and Ashton Kutcher together would have worked a little bit better than Johnny Knoxville and Sean William Scott in this.
All right, I'll go with Paul Walker, but Ashton Kutcher has to go.
Maybe, and I'm fine with that, but I think Paul Walker would have been, you need someone to be the more serious side of it.
Paul Walker would have been the John Schneider of the movie, but you have to find a serious Tom Wopat.
Well, maybe that's Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, I couldn't see him as Billy Prickett. Then maybe if you have Paul Walker and Matthew McConaughey playing Bo and Luke Duke, then I might agree with you a little bit better, because then that's a little bit more of a serious role then. Because
yeah,
we're already talking over each other on this one because we both have the same idea.
I mean, the thing is with this film too is that you have two people both trying to be equal levels of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all you have to do is go take a look at Batman Forever, where you've got Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey both trying to out Jim Carrey each other, and it doesn't work. You should have one on one end of the spectrum and one on the other. Here,
Jim Carrey just took over that whole role.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, you know, apparently Tommy Lee Jones didn't take too kindly to Jim Carrey's supposed silliness, and then I probably tried to one-up him just to show, whatever the reason, and it didn't work on camera at all. Here, you need someone to be the brother that keeps them out of trouble, as opposed to both of them equally things up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, for what it's worth, had this not been a Dukes of Hazzard script, had this been a similar script with the, you know, names changed to protect the innocent characters that they're ripping off, basically, you know, then you can have two idiots driving around trying to save the day in their own messed up way. And that's the other thing too, is that they're not really good at doing what they do.
No, definitely not. I mean, they were not the sharpest tools in the shed. I mean, there was a scene when they're releasing stress from using gas cans and blowing it up, you know, how they would, when they had their bow and arrows, you know what I mean? And he goes, boom, shakalaka. Like, really?
Right.
Okay, listen, I get it's updated language, but boom shakalaka, I would have said booyah or something, you know what I mean? Boom shakalaka. Yeah, break.
Okay.
That was the worst. That was one scene I did not like.
So how do we fix Bo and Luke Duke?
I go Matthew McConaughey and Paul Walker.
Okay.
I like that duo right there.
But if you're stuck with these guys, if you're stuck with Johnny Knoxville and Sean William Scott, how do you fix the dynamic on screen between them?
Let Johnny Knoxville do what he does best, jackass. And then you let Sean William Scott, you direct him a little bit better as being Bo, as a little crazy, but somewhat smarter, maybe?
I mean, I will give Sean William Scott's version of Bo Duke a little bit of leniency. And I say that because they gave him something to focus on other than just being an idiot. Like, he was racing. He had a goal. He was going to break the record, right? And I like the fact that he idolized Billy Prickett, you know, who's coming back and all that. And this is the guy whose record he wants to break. Like, honestly, like that, if you had focused a little bit more on that, instead of Bo being like, I don't know what the hell he was doing when they got into town kind of thing to go get the girls to figure out about the core sample. But that was a choice that he was doing at that point. But I think if you focus more like an innocence where he's trying to save the day and he's also trying to break the record of his idol who's now back and who's also working for the guy who they're trying to stop.
True. All right. So I'll give you that a little bit. But, you know, I just felt like he tried a little too hard in this movie. I think he was trying to make it more, I don't know. I just felt like Sean William Scott was trying a little too hard for this movie, and Knoxville's like, this, I'm going to have fun. You know what I mean? And that's where I think that's the difference.
I think the other thing, too, is you've got Johnny Knoxville, who is at this point famous for doing Jackass. So you see Johnny Knoxville on screen, you're expecting an almost Jackass-like performance, but you can't get away from that. So,
well, he's typecast because of that. No thanks to his career. I mean, you've done 4 freaking movies of Jackass. You've played the TV show Jackass. You've been on Unholy Bam and Viva La Bam as the Jackass guy and destroying each other's cars. Guess what? You're capitalized as the Jackass.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If you try to put him in a scripted, albeit comedy, not exactly a highbrow comedy, but still a comedy nevertheless, with words on paper, how do you get away from that? And because you see sometimes an actor's name on the screen and you have a preconceived notion of what that performance is supposed to be like. Sean William Scott, you kind of got what you pretty much expected. You got basically Southern Stifler at this point. Yeah. And with Johnny Knoxville, you're like, all right, what's he going to do? And he's got a bow and arrow and things are blowing up, and it never really goes beyond that except for that he's a little bit of horny in the car.
Yeah, that's about it. But that's Johnny Knoxville for you.
Yeah. Jessica Simpson, who of course played Daisy Duke. How was she for you, acting wise?
Oh, well, she could have been a better actress, but other than that, 10. I give it a 10.
I mean, let's put this into perspective here. At this point in her career, Jessica Simpson is one of the biggest names in entertainment. Of course, the Newlyweds TV show is on. Whether you like
lost her virginity.
Right. But that's the thing. She was in the public eye. She was the center of attention. And the same thing that Britney Spears kind of went through when she first broke onto the scene kind of thing. So it makes sense. Although somehow I think, Crossroads may have been a better film than this as far as a breakout film performance. But
I wouldn't know. I never watched Crossroads, so I can't say anything.
Oh, that episode's coming down the pipe one day.
Not with this guy.
But the thing is, and yes, you had her being nominated for and winning some breakout star roles. And you didn't really put her in a role that was too far outside of what you would expect out of Jessica Simpson. But do you think some of the negativity towards her was basically a pushback at being so in everything at that point? At that point, Jessica Simpson, you could probably argue, gets kind of like what the treatment that Taylor Swift is getting right now.
Yeah, I could say that, but I would have loved it if Kelsey goes, "Hey, Taylor, I love you. I'm going to Disney without you. We're broken up." After I won the Super Bowl.
No, that's not going to happen. But the thing is...
But it would have been funny, though.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest.
That would make great for great TV.
The internet is... It is.
Yeah.
And at this point, Jessica Simpson's basically getting crapped on and ripped on by pretty much every corner of the internet. And it became almost cool to rip on her, which is unfortunate because when you take a look at the role, she is actually perfect for this role. I'm not a big fan of how it really felt like they kind of dumbed her down in this.
They did a little bit. I mean, something went under my undercarriage.
Well, I think that was more to play against the brain deadness of, but there's the other thing too, right? And I'm going to ask you, looking back at Catherine Bach and how she played Daisy Duke on the TV show versus how Jessica Simpson played Daisy Duke in the movie. Yes, obviously you have totally different scripts, but was Catherine Bach as overtly using her looks to get things done as Jessica Simpson is here?
Yes, but Catherine Bach had a brain over Jessica Simpson because she would actually use her head, not her chest.
There's the problem, is that they basically had her really just using her body for everything. And that's it.
I wouldn't blame Enos on that one.
It took any possibility of at least having someone in charge, or at least having someone with an idea. She's barely getting by all these other scenarios. It's not like Bo and Luke are bringing anything to the table at this point.
That's true. They got Katie Lynn Johnson.
Exactly. But let's also talk about Willie Nelson, who played Uncle Jesse. I have thoughts, but I'm going to ask you first. How was Willie Nelson?
I loved him as Uncle Jesse. I really did, just because he's a pothead smoking, guitar singing, moonshine drinking, joke snapping, funny guy. Come on, you really can't go wrong with having Willie Nelson as Uncle Jesse. listen, I'm not gonna say that Uncle Jesse from the original show was not great, but come on, how can you not have with the pony, the dreadlock, whatever, the freaking long hair on the side with a bandana? I said, and the way he was talking, I lost 2 toes for Korea. I'm gonna kick that fat son of a bitch. You know what I mean? Just his wisecrackness. There was one joke. I forgot what it was. Shoot, I just watched the movie the other day too. It's like, it's like, what do you get a guy with a Tyranite, Playboy? So, just these stupid little snappy comebacks. I thought he did well in this movie to play Uncle Jesse, and he sang the original song too. And I thought he did a good job. I thought that was a good fit.
I mean, as far as a look goes and a tenor goes, yes, I think actually, Willie Nelson was good in the role. But I'm going to ask you, again, going back to the TV show, because really when you're dealing with a property like this, you have to drop back to the TV show. And is it faithful enough, or are they basically doing this to rip apart and tear apart and basically piss all over the legacy of it? So Uncle Jesse in the TV show, was he always telling as many jokes as was going on here?
No, because Uncle Jesse was the patriarch of the family. He was the brain of the family. You know what I mean? He was the smart guy. He had some snappy ones, though. He did have some snappy things to say sometimes. When he, especially against Boss Hogg and Roscoe. You know what I mean? Not against the boys, because they always loved them dearly. You know what I mean? But he did have a little snappiness to him, especially against Boss and Roscoe and Ina sometimes. But he was that caring, loving guy in the 70s show compared to what he is in Willie Nelson style. Again, we don't know if Uncle Jesse of the 70s was in the background smoking pot. We don't know that. He could have in the barn house. You know what I mean?
Oh, very, very likely, yes.
They just didn't portray it at that time like we do now.
I guess my big thing with the way Uncle Jesse is written, and again, this has nothing to do with Willie Nelson. Like, I think for what is written in the character, I think he played it as well as could be. But I mean, there's this point where, like, they're driving around and, in Boss Hogg's car and tossing things and whatnot. And it's like a one-liner for everything, every little moonshine, Molotov cocktail that he's throwing. And I'm like, is this all Uncle Jesse's going to be? Is it just jokes and Molotov cocktails? Because that kind of feels not like the best way to represent Uncle Jesse.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that, but I thought it was still freaking hilarious. I think he did pretty good.
I flash back to my own grandfather, who, like, anytime I used to call him, he'd have a joke. He'd have a joke. He'd have one, but he'd have a joke. And, it was usually a good one, but this felt almost like you're taking like one characteristic of everybody's grandfather and doing it over and over and over again.
Yes, you're right, but I still thought he did good.
David Koechner, who played Cooter, I kind of enjoyed him in this one, but how was he for you?
He was all right. I thought he played the part pretty good, almost to the T of Cooter, except he was a little dumber when the Cooter in the show was a little bit smarter. I like the fact when they are trying to rebuild the General Lee, he called his boys, and you hear in the background the song, and he's like, "Boys, I got a job for them. Let's go." I don't see them rebuilding the General Lee that quickly, and the paint being dry with clear coat. I would say 2 days, not one night.
Yeah.
Under 5 hours or something like that. It's a little, that's hard to swallow. But any self-respected car guy would know that too. But for what he did to what the how the generally looked in the beginning of the movie to what it is during the movie is a true representation, because when you go back into the show, and I don't remember if it was season 1 or season 2 when they were doing one of those flashbacks and how they got the General Lee. I think it was season 1 when they were racing 00. It was a black Dodge Charger.
Right.
And it was the I can't remember the racer's name right now. It's gonna pop in my head later. I know it will be. And it was a sought out car because there was also jewelry in the car. You know what I mean? And I remember them going back to Cooter's. The frame wasn't bent. It was already a stock car. It was already done. They revived the engine and all that, and the Cooter only had one color paint, which was the orange. You know what I mean? And there it is. It generally becomes alive. So what they did in the movie is that I remember it's the beginning of the movie. They jumped this 20-foot dirt pile, and they're going over the river, and they lose control of the car, and they go into construction dozers. And Cooter picks up the car, and he has to fix it. You know, they had dead raccoons in it, broken windows, and all that stuff. So it was kind of beat up. So it's just bringing the car to life. I think that's what it was about. More was the car and the music.
Oh,
there's some
absolutely.
the music really made the movie, and that's why I think I loved it so much.
I think the thing with Cooter is that really, of all the, for lack of a better term, the good guys, you really finally have someone who seems on the ball and able to get things done when they need to get done. Like finally someone's on board and doing what they're supposed to do. And I actually really didn't mind him in this. Like,
he was pretty good.
Yeah. You needed someone, because at this point, between Bo, Luke, Daisy, and Uncle Jesse, I'm like, you're all supposed to be able to get things done and save the day every now and then. And right now, I don't know if between the four of you, you can tie a shoelace.
No.
Cooter probably gets to be called in and finish tying the shoelaces so they can walk. That's kind of how it feels. But I liked it wasn't a big role, but
it was a good role though for him.
Yeah, Cooter had to be there. You could not have this film without Cooter. I think David Koechner was perfect for that.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you.
I know you're not going to like this one, but I'm curious as to why. MC Gainey, who played Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Okay. Roscoe P. Coltrane. The infamous, that laugh of his, he doesn't do it. Okay. If you're going to portray Roscoe, you have to do that. That's one. Two, Roscoe was not a 6'5" looking guy. He was a 6 foot normal guy who didn't weigh 300 pounds. He looked like a $190 with his shirt on. Him wearing the gloves and all that, it was like a Dirty Harry meets, not even Dirty Harry. It's more like, God, what's a really cop movie?
Oh, like Cobra?
No, Cobra was better.
Oh, yeah, but Cobra had those gloves, though. Cobra had those gloves.
Yeah, but that's Sylvester Stallone. He can pull it off.
Really?
He was also,
when was the last time you actually watched that movie?
Actually, I just watched it the other day because I own that movie. Okay. All right. Well, it worked for the scenes that he needed the gloves, okay?
Yeah.
Especially when he was killing that scumbag in the supermarket and drinking a beer. Jesus, I don't know. It just think of a really crappy cop movie, and that's what I think of him. You know what I mean? It did not work well.
I've always been of the mindset that if you have a bad guy and you have a character that you don't want to like, right? You don't want the audience to like this guy. You don't want Roscoe P. Coltrane to be a likable villain. You want him to be the baddie. At this point, I think he did it well enough. We did not like him. We did not want him to succeed. And anytime you have someone playing the villain, I think it's one of those things where you have to be able to get people to not like you. It's kind of like that wrestler rule. Like if you can get heat, then you're a good heel.
Right. I think you're right on that. I think they could have just done a little bit better on the Roscoe. That's my opinion too. I could have picked a better Roscoe. Like a Martin Lawrence. No, I'm only kidding. I'm trying to think who would be good. You know what? Paul Rudd could have done that probably pretty good. Paul Rudd, maybe.
Even Paul Rudd doesn't age.
No, he doesn't. But maybe like a Ben Stiller could have pulled off an old man look. We've seen him pull an old man look. How about Tom Cruise? With that.
No, we're not going back to Tropic Thunder here for this one. I mean, there were a number of potential actors out there that could have taken on the role, but
I'm trying to picture who would make a good one. I'm having a tough time. You know what? I got a great person who would make a great Roscoe. I'm looking at him right now.
no.
You got that funny laugh though.
Well, you know what I mean. If they want to put me in a movie, yeah, sure, why not? I'm all for it. Before we get to Burt Reynolds, who of course played Boss Hogg in this, I need to point out and go back to our almost starring here. Anthony Anderson was considered for the role of Boss Hogg, but also apparently turning down the role were Danny DeVito and John Goodman. And I gotta tell you, John Goodman as Boss Hogg would have been a very, very interesting choice.
Yeah, first of all, yes, you're right. He's tall though. Boss Hogg reminds me of Danny DeVito, which I'm kind of surprised Danny DeVito said no to that because they were about the same height and they had the bald head. He would have made a perfect Boss Hogg.
Well, he probably saw the script.
That too, but he could have been happy with wearing all white, having a cigar out of his mouth.
Quite possibly.
Well, you know what? It would have brought him back to his Penguin days,
I could see that, because, you might have that inclination to think about his Oswald Cobblepot. Yeah. But how was Burt Reynolds for you in this?
I love Burt Reynolds, man. Burt Reynolds is one of my favorite actors. Watching growing up, Smokey and the Bandit, 1 and 2, even 3, which he was not a part of. I'm always a fan of the Smokey and the Bandits, man. And Burt Reynolds in The Longest Yard, Gator. You're talking about some iconic movies here, and putting him as Boss Hogg was really weird because it took me a minute to realize he's got a goatee. First of all, Boss Hogg did not have a goatee in the movie, in the TV show. I think he did okay. I think he could have found something a little bit better, but I thought he did all right just because he's a talented actor. He could be that actor that can go anywhere and play the role that they ask him to play. He's that method actor, I think, where you could put him in the movie and he still will do a good job.
I mean, as I'm watching Burt Reynolds, walk around in the white seersucker suit and whatnot, and you get a little bit of almost like the feel of his character from Boogie Nights, a little bit.
A little too much, yeah.
A little, but I think if he had gone a little bit more towards the congressman character that he played in Striptease, I think that would have been a much more...
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Right?
I forgot about that scene. Yeah, I can see that.
Tell me you take a little bit of that character, you put him into Boss Hogg.
And you put a little of The Longest Yard in him for being a crook.
Right.
And there you go. You know what I mean? That actually, that would have went really well if he did that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense that Burt Reynolds was cast in this when you take a look at his character in Striptease. But I think the problem is, and this isn't a knock on Burt Reynolds, but he was that kind of actor where you saw him and you knew you were going to like him because it's freaking Burt Reynolds.
It's Burt freaking Reynolds.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you go to a grave and still say, my God, it's Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
He doesn't change. The statues of him as from Smokey and the Bandit, it won't change. I mean, the damn guy's still talked about and he's still dead.
I mean,
he was a good actor.
Let's not forget he was in the Cannonball Run.
Still one of my favorite movies, 1 and 2.
But there's
still
the thing.
The ultimate.
This is where, with MC Gainey as Coltrane, you had someone who was able to get you to not like him as the baddie. Burt Reynolds is hard to not like.
I know, but he did play Boss Hogg pretty decent, though.
I'm not saying he didn't play it decently. I'm just saying that it's hard for me to see Burt Reynolds in a comedy movie and go, oh, he's the baddie, I'm going to hate him.
No, I know, because I even love the scene where he's cooking up the crawfish.
Right.
Because just like Boss Hogg would in the original show. And then Flash is eating them.
But see,
it's like,
that level of humor I found funny in this because it wasn't overt, it wasn't stupid, it was playfully evil.
Yeah, it was like Flash. Don't eat my lunch. It's just one of those scenes, man. It's an iconic Burt Reynolds thing. You know what I mean? Like I said, the guy could play dead, which he really is dead. I mean, he's just that type of good method actor where he is probably was one of the best out there at the time. You know what I mean? And you could put him in any role, and I think he does great. Like Tom Selleck. I mean, you could put him in any role, and he still makes a movie or makes a TV show. I mean, but he's got that lovely mustache of his too. Like Burt Reynolds had the goatee. The facial hair when he had, or the mustache. It worked for him. Well, actually, it was more the mustache.
You could have Tom Selleck selling insurance. Oh, what you do? You have that in a commercial.
Yeah. And you have Tom Selleck as the police commissioner. Go figure. He went from Magnum PI to New York City commissioner. Police commissioner. I wonder if what he took from Hawaii to New York really worked.
Not quite sure, but we'll figure it out.
One day.
Linda Carter, who played Pauline Powers. It's a smaller role. And I kind of wish they put more of her in this because, again, here's a character that was on the ball, was there for the Dukes. I wanted to see more of her and how she, the relationship between her and the Dukes.
Yeah. She looked still amazing at that age.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's Linda Carter. We all remember her as Wonder Woman in those Golden Lasso and the he's back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, like, even today, when she was doing her run on Supergirl, she was still very good and very capable and whatnot. But the thing is, when you have an actor like a Linda Carter in a role that could, at least if you had her take on more of a come up with the plan kind of feel to her role, then you can have the Dukes be a little bit on the dim side like they are, because at least someone's got a plan.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's true. I mean, it was kind of funny towards the end of the movie. If you've not seen this movie, then you should just go watch it.
Right.
But
we're doing our best not to spoil too much, I think, in this.
No, that's what I'm trying not to say a lot if people have not seen it, which I would not be surprised. But I would be surprised how many people have really seen it.
Yeah.
Listen, when I was like, and then I went to go see it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, it's a slapstick comedy movie and the show was more heartwarm felt. You know what I mean? There's always a happy ending to the story. When you think about the iconic TV shows that went to movie, Chips, that's another one. Dukes of Hazzard, there's another one. A-Team, another one. Knight Rider, I'm still hearing rumblings, but there could be something like that. Baywatch, there's another one for you.
Yep.
Magnum did not go. Hill Street Blues, no. Murder, She Wrote, I think had a movie, but I think it went right to TV. Airwolf would have been kind of cool.
Airwolf would have been very cool. Can we go back to Murder, She Wrote for a second?
Yeah.
Angela Lansbury, wherever she turns up, there's a murder happening. How was she never arrested for suspicion of murder?
Yeah, you know what? I never thought about that until now, that as you said that. How the hell did she get away with that?
Right?
Is it because she was old? She looked old and they didn't think that she would do it, maybe?
See, that's what we need. We need the TV movie where it's basically trying to pin every murder on Angela Lansbury and portray her as a serial killer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Just like the true story of the Three Little Pigs.
Right
we
now,
got the whole story.
Right now, there's a true crime podcast that's sitting there going, Angela Lansbury finds herself surrounded by murder. Or is she the one who's committing the crime?
She might be granny by day, but she dices at night.
Oh, dear God, we've devolved. All right. Michael Weston as Enos. Was Enos really that simple of a character?
Yes. A little too simple for me in this movie.
I recognize that this film is dumbing down some of the characters, and I'm watching this, and I was like, oh my God, was he really that dumb in the show?
No. He was actually smart in the show. Boss Hogg and Roscoe made him look that dumb. Because don't forget, they always thought they were smarter than everybody. So they always treated Enos like the redheaded stepchild, making him think he is stupid. You know what I mean? That's like, you know, he had that stupid laugh, like that good old boy, 40-year-old virgin meets 40-year-old virgin. You know what I mean? But you got to remember, when they had the Dukes of Hazzard reunion, he became an LAPD cop.
Oh, wow.
And don't forget, there was a spinoff for one season that Enos leaves Hazzard County to go train with LAPD. And he was still wearing his Hazzard County blues and the hat in this show. The show only lasted for a season. We don't understand why. But it became an an LAPD cop. Because I remember they did the reunion when he wanted to marry Daisy Catherine Bach many years later. He goes, I'm still an LAPD cop, and I want you to move to LA with me. You know, so it was just funny to see that sometimes, you know what I mean? Some of the old stuff.
All right. James Rode Rodriguez as Billy Pickett. Interesting character. I like what he represents for Bo in this. Not maybe the best execution of the character, but how was he for you?
Well, it's kind of like spinal bifida. It's one of the bifidas, you know. I thought it was okay. Yeah, I thought he played that part pretty good, you know. He cocky because he's doing great in the NASCAR circuit. Even though the NASCAR circuit does not allow Mustangs like that, by the way. Okay, let's all, if you're down south, you know what you're driving. You're driving a stock car that looks like a Mustang or a Camaro or a whatever these days, or a Toyota. He literally drove a 68 Mustang. And he's a NASCAR racer. Go figure that one out. I thought he played the part pretty well. I thought he was funny. He's got a couple of one-liners. You know, I got the drive. I'm here for the drive for 5. His one-liner when he's talking to Bo, and you know he's got a couple of one-liners that I thought that were pretty funny. You know, it's like, hey, Dill, make sure we have a couple of pina coladas at the finish line ready for me. You know, he's just a cocky son of a gun. But I thought the actor played it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just wish they had the character more as a role model for Bo, and then to be able to realize that, well, he's actually not the proper role model because he's working with Boss Hogg, and you know, we're talking about Uncle Jesse's farm at this point. They could have done more with Billy Pickett. I just wish they did.
Yeah.
One last role to talk about here. And I'm going to read exactly what I wrote in my notes here. And
this should be good.
Then I'm just going to hand it over to you. Kevin Heffernan as Sheev. The f*** is this?
I have no clue what the f*** it was, because I don't remember a Sheev in the show. Let me watch my mongoose. You know, he's got a couple of funny one-liners. You know, like the argument between Chinese food and the Chinese girl. It's like, Mushu pork is not. It's a totally different country, you dumbass. You know, like these are two guys who are trying to be smart about Chinese food compared to Japanese food. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a Chinese fuse. It's supposed to be backwards, you idiot. How would you know that?
It's the part where it's like, did you tell them about the meeting? Yeah. Were you wearing your armadillo hat? No.
No.
Like
they threw hot dogs at us, and then he ate the hot dog that was on the ground.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I you know, if I don't have to wear pants, I'm cool too. But you know, like seriously, this character and because at times he's almost like that conspiracy theorist character, and okay, maybe, yes. But then he's like this complete idiot. Like you expect him to start, we're going streaking. Like it's almost like this movie had way too many wannabe Will Ferrell characters.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to agree on that one. One too many.
Yeah.
But I think that was the whole point of the movie. You know what I mean? It's to, I don't know if it was meant to poke fun of the show back in the day and all that. Like it was just, it had its moments where some parts were really funny, some parts were really serious. But that's part of the TV, the TV culture back in the day, from the 70s, the 80s, and somewhat of the 90s. It's not like today, the TV shows. Oh my God, I cut my finger, I'm bleeding, Billy. It's like, take me to the doctor, or someone gets bitch slapped. Oh, I'm going to sue you now. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus. I miss my childhood.
All right, before we get to our MVPs, I got one shout out here from our comments section over on our website, notthatbadcast.com. By the way, if you go to our website and go to our coming soon page, you will see some of the episodes that we are prepping. Go there, drop your comments. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear your thoughts, and we want to be able to shout you guys out in the show. So Alex Whistle, who has been on the show before, just go listen to the Monkey Bone episode, chimed in with Dukes of Hazzard. Love this movie. I have so many memories with this movie. I saw this in theaters, then rented the crap out of that DVD, then let you pick which version to watch. And obviously the unrated version meant more boobies anyway. This movie is a laugh. Johnny Knoxville and Sean William Scott, they went hand in hand for this. I think this might have been Jessica Simpson's last movie role and hit. Not 100% sure. And no, not her last role. I know because my lovely wife, Carrie, wants to do an episode on Blonde Ambition. So that's going to happen. That's going to happen.
Have fun with that one.
Right. But there's also Employee of the Month too. So.
Ooh, yeah. That was a great movie, by the way. I love that movie. There we go. The Gomez is coming up for another one already.
If you had the DVD, you knew how funny Willie Nelson was because all his jokes would make people laugh, so they couldn't keep it in the movie. The amount of cars destroyed in this movie for all the stunts is crazy as well. I remember seeing something over like 100. Don't quote me on that. It's not that bad. 14% tomodometer, too low. So before we get to our MVPs, I'm going to throw this back at you here because, of course, the show it's not that bad. And I feel like we've been kind of ripping on the movie a little bit. At the end of the day, our goal here, our mission, right? Our mission statement, our modus operandi is to prove that the critic score is too low. So at 14%, it is low. What parts of this film make it better?
The car. The resurrection of the car. Come on, when Roscoe comes back to try to get the car, and they open up the doors, and you're hearing Mississippi Queen to begin with, and you hear the engine revving, and you see the orange, the gas cap, the Georgia plate, you see part of the Confederate flag, and then boom, they just take off. Granted, the steering wheel was a little too much, should have been thinner. There's this thick ass wooden grain, and they had a radio in there, which they didn't have one in the show. Again, movie problem there, but not mine. It was just great to see the iconic orange and the Confederate flag. You know what I mean? Definitely the car scenes made the movie a little bit more exciting, especially the car scene in the towards the end when they're trying to escape from jail. At one point they were going around General Lee, which was funny, and he's like, "Oh, this is the best driving ever you've seen." You know what I mean? They're like, "All right, buddy, get out of this, please. You're making me sick." And the music made the movie too. A lot of AC/DC, which is great to see. Every time I think of when I hear one of those songs, I tend to drive a little faster than normal. Me and my Kia Telluride go down 90 down 287 south here in New Jersey. We do a little bit 90 when we hear the song, go a little excited. But I thought the car made the movie. It made the movie better. Definitely the car scenes, the jump to the highway going back to Hazard, the race, the Hazard rally. Granted, the jump at the end of the movie was a little too much, but it's fine. It's a movie. But the car made the movie.
I'll give you the soundtrack. The soundtrack is actually quite good. And of course, I'll also give you the fact that this is one of those films that ends with the blooper reel during the credits. And maybe it's because I absolutely love the Cannonball Run films. Like, I get it. I do. I get it. So it's one of those things where I do appreciate that. It's fun. It's fun to get to the end of one of those things and go, okay, cool. We're good. We're good. I think it's also one of those small little things. It is. It's a small little thing where you get that freeze frame and you get that voiceover, you know, and the same kind of voiceover that you had, you know, from the balladeer from the original TV show. Like that brought it back to what the show was. Those moments were very, very good. I'm completely fine with that. That was good. That was good.
Yep.
Not much else in it, but that was good. That was good.
That was good.
Yeah.
I agree.
I will say that I think at 14%, this film is a little low on the critics score things, but you know, it's not great. I don't even think it's 46%, which is, you know, the audience score, but I think it's definitely around that 25, maybe 30%.
I would say 25% would have been a better score.
Yeah.
But again, look at the people who are working at the tomatometer too. Not the smartest tools in the shed. They would probably think, you know, Amadeus was a 5-star movie. You know,
critics with a thesaurus and a bad attitude.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, just because they think they got that damn thesaurus. I can't even say it correctly. I'm from New Jersey. I would take that book and smack you upside the head with it. Not you, Jason. Not you.
Right. Even though apparently I could be Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Dude, I think you would have made a great Roscoe, though. See that laugh? You could have pulled it off. Listen, imagine I could have pulled Boss Hogg, a 385-pound Cuban, as Boss Hogg. Hey, Roscoe, yeah, bring me my Cuban cigar.
I feel like we should like freeze frame the podcast right now. It's like, well, now calling your host, someone like Roscoe P. Coltrane, might not go well down with the folks in Hazzard County.
True. And then the 300-pound Cuban as Boss Hogg. But then again, I can live up to the name a little bit, Hogg.
Right.
Except I don't know, Jefferson Davison would go well with me.
All right. So it is time. So Gomez, who is your MVP of the Dukes of Hazzard?
Johnny Knoxville. Just because I loved him. I thought he was great in the movie. He played that dumbass role perfectly.
I have 2 MVPs. And one you'll agree with, and one I know you're not going to agree with.
Oh, this I got to hear. Let's go with the one I agree with first.
The one that you agree with, my MVP is the freaking General Lee.
Okay, well, that's an outspoken realist, everyone's MVP. That's why I went with something different.
But that's the thing, right? You go back to the Transformers movies, right? And the minute Optimus Prime shows up, and it's not a Peterbilt truck, it's a Mack truck.
It's a Mack truck, yeah.
It's not Optimus Prime.
No, it's not. That's why Shia LaBeouf. That's why Shia LaBeouf is my MVP.
No.
I couldn't resist that one. It's not. No, it's not. It's not. It's not.
Peter Cullen. Peter Cullen. It's the only answer.
I just want to see what you would say. Calm down.
But that's the thing, right? Like, you go in ready to watch a Transformers film, and you have this idea of what the car is supposed to look like. Like, Bumblebee is a Volkswagen Bug. You know, Optimus Prime is a Peterbilt truck, not a Mack truck. You know, Hound doesn't have a beard and smoke a cigar. Stop Michael Baying the things, right? The General Lee is the General Lee. And I'll even give them credit for, I think, in a really good, fun way, addressing the Confederate flag on the car. I think that was done about as tactfully and tastefully as you could in a movie like this.
Yes, in the times that we were in at that time.
Yeah, because you couldn't not point it out. You really couldn't.
I mean, if you think about it, remember the scene on the highway is like, yeehaw, let the South rise again, brother. And they don't know what's going on. And then one goes, hey, are you late for a Klan meeting? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was handled about as well as you could handle it without being really didactic. You know, you turn it into a joke that says everything. So I'll give the script actually full kudos for that part, because really the show's kind of dated, you know, and times do change.
Oh yeah, everything has changed. You know what I mean? Come on, what about the sheriff? I forgot the name of the other county sheriff that's always in the TV show once in a while. He wasn't even in the movie. He dressed like a police cop and he drove a car.
Well, you got to tone it down at some point. But my other MVP is MC Gainey, who played Roscoe P. Coltrane. And I say that because he's the baddie. You want him to be the baddie. He was the bad. You didn't like him. You didn't want him to win. You didn't want him to succeed.
No, I'll give you that one. I'm not going to be upset with that.
Right? He did a much better job than I would.
Yeah. Again, I'm not going to disagree with that, but I'm just saying I just wanted someone a little bit funnier. You know what I mean? Not as bad as he was. You know what I mean? Like, he had to have a funny bone, and he tried to crack a joke or two, like, hey, I'm here. I didn't find it funny when he did it. You know what I mean? Like, the sarcastic part of it, you know what I mean? It just didn't fit him.
I think my thing there too is that everyone else is being crazy. Everyone else is being a little on the slower side of the highway. And if he was as well, then it would just feel like everyone in Hazard County was, a few clicks shy of the speed limit.
Yeah.
Sorry, miles to all my American listeners here.
Whatever. It's fine. We understand. I'm wearing a Blue Jays hat, for Christ's sakes, tonight.
Well, I mean, there is one stretch of highway in America that is actually in kilometers per hour. Just one stretch, but there is. That road, of course, is Interstate 19 in Tucson, Arizona.
Wow.
Yep.
Holy shit. I did not know that. So that's something I just learned today.
In kilometers, in the metric system, it is the only highway in the States that uses the metric system.
Wow. I'm like stunned on that one a little bit.
So, yeah, I'm apparently all my jokes will go over well there.
Yes, it will. I'll even laugh at him.
Oh, dude, thank you so much for this. Now, before we go, please remind our listeners where they can find the Sleevy G Show.
First of all, you can find the Sleevy G Show and any podcast, Good Pods, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify. I'm all over the place under the Sleevy G Show. You can also I do write up blogs every week. Movies, music, video games is coming up soon. At the Sleevy G Podcasts.com. Yes, I put an S by accident. I gotta thank the guys in Unfiltered Studios, man. Been a wonderful podcast family for me. We're growing, as I keep saying to everybody, we're growing, we're gonna take over the world. You know what I mean? It's been like my little slogan over there. It's kind of cool, great family to be with, and got a lot of crazy stuff going on. Kind of not recording. I'm recording a lot, but I'm not recording every week anymore. I'm going every 2 weeks, except this month is a little crazy. The month of March and April is going to be a little nutty, but I got a lot of good stuff coming out. A lot of awareness I'm raising this year with Sleevy G Show. It's been a great ride, and I know I got to get you back on the show soon. We got to talk. Getting you back on, because that was actually we had you on this time last year, actually, which is kind of funny. We released episode 3 about the Tony Hawk music and video games at that time. We had a lot of fun, and it's kind of funny. I was highly rated in Canada that week.
Right?
I don't know why, but
that's okay. We'll chart in Tucson, Arizona this week.
We might have to, but it's just been an amazing ride this year. I actually got to thank also Kicking Up Your Heels Entertainment, that's out of Toronto. They brought me some special guests that we just did. It's been an amazing year for me so far. Just everybody, yourself, My Weekly Mixtape with Brian Colburn, my podcast family, the Stupid History Podcast, Pals of Support, Finding Your Way with the Beebs. Just a lot of great people on the show. And, if you go onto my link tree, / SleevyG, the website to Unfiltered Studios and all my stuff, YouTube, everywhere, you'll find me. And it's just been an incredible year, Jason, this year so far. Thankful for everybody that came on last year. Thankful for this year again. We're nearing, I'm about 40 episodes to the 100th episode, which is kind of, the goal was 50 episodes last year, 50 YouTube subscribers and 500 downloads. And I surpassed that by August of last year, which was an amazing defeat. So now I have new goals for this year, new things going on. It's a little bit different, blogging a little bit more. We're doing top 5. I'm going to incorporate I'm doing the top 5 90s movies already this year. I'm going to be doing top 5 music every year from 1979 on. You know, what was the top 5 of 79 when I was born, 80, 81. I'm going to incorporate all that into a nice little blog going on for one page for everybody, especially video games. We're going to start with the Atari. Cannot wait. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of cool things happening. A lot of ideas I've been brewing on my own. During the winter break, I took off the month of December. So I had a lot of good ideas I've been writing down in my, what's funny is that people will not see it, but you will, in the trusty Sleevey G notebook, as it has been growing, as you can see, ever pages of, I think I'm halfway through this book, you know, with notes and stuff like that. So a lot of good things are happening, and a lot of good guests going to be coming on the show. So I'm looking forward, again, to having you on, of course, but, you know, I'm just grateful, again, you know, to be on your show. I think I'm the only one that's been on all 4 of your shows, which is still kind of cool for me.
Well, you realize that since we brought out Spin Shuffle Skip in January, you're a show down now.
Am I really? Okay,
Yeah.
so I gotta catch up. I gotta catch up now.
Oh, don't worry. We'll set it up. We'll get you on Spin Shuffle Skip so you can do the 5 show. Yeah.
So then I'll probably be one of people to do all 5 of your shows, you know. And
Yeah, I think Carrie's the only one that's done all 5 shows so far, but she's contractually obligated to. It was in the marriage certificate, so she can't really get into that. So
no, she can't. But as a podcaster, it's kind of cool, you know what I mean, to be part of with you guys. You know what I mean. I enjoy every time that I could come on with you, Carrie, too, when we do a lot of the. It's not
the grading on a curve.
Grading on the curve. I missed the last one due to a couple of things, not feeling good and other things. So, you know, I love being on with you guys a lot. Love being on the show with you.
Well,
you know,
just remember, we're going to get you on the grading on the curve for the next one.
Oh, I know.
But the bad news is you're going to have to watch the movies that are picked for it. So, yay.
Hey, can't be as bad as the last one. So.
Oh, you say that now. You don't know what I have planned. But don't worry, we'll have fun.
If it's the same panel, it's great. You know what I mean? I have fun with these shows with you, Jason. And you know that. And, you know, it's been a couple of years since we've been together. It sounds weird saying been together, but, you know, we've done a lot of cool things together, from Playlist Wars to my weekly mixtape to everything that we have done with each other. You know what I mean? It's great. And, you know, I was so happy when you signed on with the same place as my weekly mixtape of the Pantheon and all that. That's so amazing for you guys, man. I'm so stoked for both of you guys. And I wish nothing but also success for you guys over there, man. It just thrilled. Hopefully, Sleepy G becomes a household name one day. I'm hoping that's the goal this year. You know, trying to up my numbers, try to get everything done the right way, though. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to this year. It's going to be a pretty cool year.
Well, you do realize that 100th episode is going to be one hell of a celebration.
You know, if I can, you know what's funny? The 50th episode, DT came on, and I had to have him because he made the logo. He made the Sleevey G logo for me. So it would not be right not having him on, and it's such an iconic number 50. But the 100th episode, it's like, I got to pick and choose a little bit who's going to be on that one.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I you know, like you, Brian, DT, I got to get some of the guys from Unfiltered Studios on, because with signing with them, it's like, it's importante. It's like, I want to have like a big effing zoom in show. You know what I mean? Like, if I could fit 50 people on it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to send out 50 emails and just say, get on the show. I don't care how we do it. You know what I mean? It's just remembering your episode and how much fun times we all had, and, you know, everything that we have in common, and just really just spitting out everywhere everyone's coming from. You know what I mean? I would love to do something like that.
Oh, that's going to be so much fun. So
yeah.
when that email comes out, dude, just sign me up. Just sign me up.
I already know the people who I'm signing up. It's just making sure I get the email out. I'm kind of been pretty bad on that because I've been falling asleep before 8 o'clock this year.
Oh, well, it is past your bedtime then, so let's wrap it up there. But
I have no kids tonight. No, so let's enjoy this.
Okay. So we're here for a while. The listeners, we'll put the listeners to bed first, and then we'll just hang out. Thank you so much for this. But to you, our listeners, thank you for listening to this episode. You guys know the drill. If there is a movie out there that you think is unfairly maligned, or there is no way in Hazzard County that we can find anything good to say about it, hit us up on social media at Not That Badcast, or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you check out our coming soon page so you can chime in just like Alex did. You have a big character limit there, so you can get all your thoughts out. We want to hear from you guys and be able to shout you out. Until next time, he's Gomez. I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is It's Not That Bad, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.